learn to act as if nothing can bother you. There is a secret weapon that the strongest people carry, not in their hands, but in their hearts. It's not talent, it's not money, and it's not power. It's stillness. The ability to walk into chaos, rejection, betrayal, and pain, and still look unbothered. You see, the people who win in life aren't the loudest ones. They're not the ones who react to every insult, every mistake, or every emotion. They're the ones who learn the art of being calm when everything inside of them wants to explode. And if you don't learn this, the world will eat your peace alive. Watch until the end, because this message might be the one thing that saves your mind in the next storm. Emotional detachment is not weakness, it's power in disguise. Most people misunderstand what it means to be emotionally detached. They think it's about not caring, being cold, or shutting yourself off from the world. But true emotional detachment is none of those things. It's about having the maturity to protect your inner peace, regardless of what's happening around you. It's choosing not to let external chaos disturb your internal clarity. In a world that constantly tries to trigger you, to provoke you, to pull you into unnecessary battles, detachment is your shield. When you can stand in the middle of confusion, conflict, or disappointment and maintain your balance, you have tapped into something most people never learn: control over yourself. That's real power. Not the ability to control others, but the ability to control your own reactions. When you reach that level of discipline, you become a different kind of force. You don't waste time arguing over things that don't matter. You don't allow someone's bad mood to dictate your mood. You don't let one negative comment ruin your whole day. Why? Because you've trained yourself to separate what's happening around you from what's happening within you. That's the difference between those who constantly feel overwhelmed by life and those who quietly conquer it. Weakness is being reactive. It's letting every comment, every failure, every unexpected event shake you. Power is being proactive. It's the strength to say, I see what's happening, but I choose not to give it power over me. That doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't live in your feelings. You process them, but you don't drown in them. You acknowledge them, but you don't act out of them. You rise above them. Think of the strongest people you know, not the loudest, not the most aggressive, but the most grounded. The ones who never seem easily shaken. There's a peace about them that draws respect. That's the quiet power of detachment. They've learned that peace isn't the absence of conflict. It's the presence of discipline. When you're emotionally detached in the right way, you gain perspective. You start seeing things not just as they feel in the moment, but as they truly are. You stop overreacting and start responding. You stop making emotional decisions and start making strategic ones. This kind of control is what separates average from exceptional. Anyone can lose their temper, anyone can panic. But it takes strength to stay calm, to stay still, to stay focused when everything else is telling you to fall apart. Life will never stop testing your emotions. People will hurt you, misunderstand you, provoke you. Circumstances will disappoint you, frustrate you, scare you. But how you respond will always be your choice. And every time you choose stillness over reaction, wisdom over impulse, you strengthen your foundation. Emotional detachment isn't about indifference. It's about intelligent discipline. It's about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, when to engage and when to walk away, when to express and when to reflect. It's not a lack of emotion, it's the mastery of it. So the next time life tries to push your buttons, remind yourself, reacting is easy, anyone can do that. But remaining unshaken, that's a rare kind of power. And once you master that, there's very little in this world that can truly bother you, because you're no longer dancing to the rhythm of chaos. You're walking to the beat of peace. People don't usually fall apart because of what happens to them. They fall apart because of how they respond to what happens. The event itself is rarely what breaks a person. It's the storm they create inside their mind afterward. You see, life is full of disappointments, challenges, setbacks, and painful moments. That's universal. What's not universal is the way people react to those things. Some people crumble, others rise. And the difference between them is not strength or intelligence, it's emotional discipline. Your reaction is the real battleground. That's where the war is won or lost, not in the event itself, but in your mind, your heart, your spirit, immediately after the event. It's the thoughts you allow to run loose. It's the assumptions you make, the words you say, the energy you give in return. When something bad happens, your future is determined not by the event, but by your interpretation of it and the emotion you attach to it. Think about it. Two people can go through the exact same hardship, losing a job, a betrayal, a failure. One person lets it define them and spiral into self-doubt and anger. The other uses it as fuel to become wiser, stronger, and more focused. Same event, different outcome. Why? Because the second person understood that they couldn't always control what happened, but they could always control how they responded. This is where most people lose. They let a single moment dictate their mood, their mindset, and eventually their life direction. Someone says something disrespectful, and instead of brushing it off, they carry that energy all day. A plan fails, and instead of adjusting, they internalize the failure and question their worth. This is emotional slavery, being so reactive that your environment, not your values, decides who you are. The truth is, every reaction is a choice, and most people are giving away their power without even realizing it. If your peace can be stolen by a comment, a delay, or a rude stranger, then your peace was never yours to begin with. It was borrowed. Borrowed from circumstances, from people, from performance, and anything borrowed can be taken away. The power lies in learning to pause, to step back from the initial emotion and ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? And most times, it's not. Most battles you face won't matter a week from now, let alone a year. But the energy you spend reacting, that can leave you drained, bitter, and distracted, not because of what happened, but because of how you chose to engage with it. You must understand this. When you react emotionally to every small thing, you're not in control. Your triggers are. And if your triggers control you, then anyone who learns them can control you too. That's a dangerous place to live. That's why the goal isn't to feel nothing. It's to learn to master what you feel, to respond with wisdom, not just reflex. Being emotionally stable doesn't mean you never feel pain. It means you know how to process it without self-destruction. It means your identity isn't shaken by failure or disapproval. It means you're rooted so deeply in purpose and perspective that the winds of life may sway you, but they will not uproot you. So the next time something happens that tests you, pause, breathe, reclaim your control. Because you can't always stop the rain, but you can choose whether to sit in it or walk through it with your head held high. What breaks you is not the event, it's the reaction. And the moment you learn to protect that space between what happens and how you respond, you take your power back. That's when you truly begin to rise. The greatest form of strength is not shown in how loudly you speak or how forcefully you respond, but in how calm you remain in the face of disrespect. Anyone can react with anger. Anyone can throw words like weapons when they feel insulted. But it takes a truly grounded person to be unmoved, to remain composed, and to understand that not every insult requires a response. In fact, the more power you give to disrespect, the more control you hand over to the one who delivered it. When someone disrespects you, they're not always trying to speak truth. Often, they're revealing their own internal chaos, their own bitterness, or their own insecurity. Their words may come at you, but they don't come from a place of clarity or strength. They come from pain. And when you recognize that, you realize that responding in kind does nothing but pull you down to their level. You don't rise by reacting. You rise by refusing to be dragged into emotional warfare. Silence in the face of petty attacks isn't weakness, it's evidence of emotional mastery. It's a declaration that your peace is not up for negotiation, that your energy is not up for auction, and that your identity cannot be shaped by the opinions of broken people. Some people want to provoke you not because of who you are, but because of how they feel about themselves. And if you let them succeed, you're allowing them to dictate your mood, your mindset, your day. Let them talk. Let them throw shade. Let them assume. The moment you realize that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to, your life becomes lighter. Because the truth is, people who are at peace with themselves don't waste time trying to disturb others. And people who are driven by purpose don't let distractions steer them off course. When you stay calm in the face of disrespect, you're not just showing strength, you're showing focus. You're showing that you're headed somewhere so important, so meaningful, that petty opinions and shallow criticisms don't deserve your time. This kind of restraint is rare because it's hard. It takes maturity to listen to something insulting and choose not to respond. It takes inner confidence to walk away without feeling the need to defend yourself. But make no mistake, walking away doesn't mean you lost. It means you won a bigger battle, the one within yourself. It means you proved that your emotions serve you, not the other way around. Think about the energy it takes to constantly react, to get angry every time someone disrespects you, to argue, explain, justify, or retaliate. That's energy you could be using to build your life, to sharpen your skills, to elevate your mind. Every minute spent in drama is a minute lost in growth. And the people who truly achieve greatness aren't the ones constantly trying to prove themselves to critics. They're the ones so focused on becoming better that critics eventually run out of words. Calmness is a weapon. And when you learn to use it, you disarm the very people who want to see you rattled. They expect you to be offended. They expect you to react. When you don't, you confuse them. You break their control. Because they don't know what to do with someone who isn't governed by external pressure. So next time someone disrespects you, remember this. Your calmness isn't a lack of courage. It's a sign that you've outgrown the need for validation from those who never had your best interests at heart. You know who you are. You know where you're going. And the noise around you is just that, noise. You were built for more. Stay focused, stay calm, and let your growth be your loudest response. When you train yourself to appear unbothered, you begin to strip power away from everything and everyone that once had control over your emotions. You begin to move from reaction to intention, from chaos to clarity. And one of the most important transformations you can ever experience is when you stop showing your emotional vulnerability to people who haven't earned the right to see it. That doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop broadcasting every emotion to the world, especially the negative ones. Because the moment you show the world that something is shaking you, the world will keep shaking you in that exact spot. There are people who thrive off your reactions. They get validation not from winning in life, but from pulling you out of your peace. They test your patience not because they're strong, but because your stillness exposes their own lack of control, and if you allow it, they will drain you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But when you train yourself to appear unbothered, something shifts. You change the dynamic. You stop feeding the fire. You stop giving them the satisfaction. You create a wall, not of stone, but of stillness. That quiet, grounded strength that says, you can try, but you will not shake me. This isn't about pretending or playing games. It's about preserving your energy for the battles that actually matter. Not every slight is worthy of a response. Not every insult needs a comeback. Sometimes the greatest revenge is not retaliation, it's elevation. It's showing that your life is too full, your purpose too big, your peace too valuable to be compromised by the noise of small minds. That's what appearing unbothered is about. It's not faking calmness. It's choosing to protect it. The more you react, the more you reveal. You show people where to hit you, how to hurt you, where your weak spots are. But when you stay composed, when you refuse to let them see you flinch, they lose their advantage. They can't manipulate what they can't predict. And when you master this presence, people begin to respect you differently. Not because you shouted louder, but because you remained still when others would have exploded. You don't have to prove your strength by reacting to everything. Real power is quiet. It's found in those who walk away from drama, not into it. It's found in those who let the fire burn around them, but never within them. You don't owe your emotions to everyone. Not every friend, not every coworker, not every stranger. Some people will misinterpret your silence as weakness, but let them. Because when the noise settles, your peace will still be intact and theirs won't. There is immense discipline in being able to stay poised in a world that constantly tries to shake you. It's not easy. Sometimes you'll want to defend yourself, you'll want to explain, retaliate, or break down. But each time you choose composure, you grow stronger. You teach yourself that your emotions are not slaves to your environment. You become the master of your mood, and in doing so, you create a kind of inner wealth that can't be stolen. In a world that feeds on reaction, choose to be different. Choose to be still. Let people wonder what you're thinking. Let them guess what you feel. Because what they don't know, they can't use. And the more you appear unbothered, the more you step into a version of yourself that is untouchable. Not because nothing affects you, but because nothing controls you. That's not pretending. That's quiet, focused, unshakable. Emotional control is one of the greatest indicators of maturity and personal growth. It's easy to be happy when things are going well, when people treat you kindly, when circumstances align with your desires. But the real test of character isn't how you act when everything is smooth. It's how you carry yourself when nothing is. When life pushes your buttons, when people disappoint you, when pressure mounts and emotions swirl, that's when your true strength is revealed. And those who master their emotions in such moments become unshakable. You must understand that emotions are real, but they're not always accurate. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you must act on it. Emotions are indicators, not dictators. They're like signals on the dashboard of your car. They alert you, but they don't steer you. The ability to feel deeply without allowing those feelings to dictate your decisions is a rare and powerful discipline. It separates those who are reactive from those who are in control. Many people ruin relationships, destroy opportunities, and sabotage their future simply because they haven't learned how to pause, that 1 second pause between emotion and action. That's where power lives. That's where peace is protected. And the more you train yourself to take that breath, to step back, to think before you speak or respond, the more you start to rise above situations that used to pull you under. Think about how much energy is wasted on emotional outbursts that lead nowhere. Arguments that escalate into disrespect. Messages sent in anger that can't be unsent. Words said in the heat of the moment that leave lasting damage. Regret often follows reactions that were based on momentary emotions. But wisdom is built when you learn to wait. When you learn to let the wave pass before you speak, decide, or respond. True emotional control isn't about suppression. It's about direction. It's not pretending you're not hurt, disappointed, or angry. It's acknowledging those feelings without allowing them to rule you. It's telling yourself, yes, I feel this, but I don't have to act on it now. I can choose how I respond. That choice is what builds strength over time. People may try to provoke you. Circumstances will pressure you. Life won't always cooperate. But when you anchor yourself in the decision to remain calm, you stop handing over your emotional remote control to the world. You stop letting people play with your peace like it's a toy they can pick up and drop at will. Instead, you become someone whose mood is determined by purpose, not by pressure. This type of control will change every area of your life. In your relationships, it builds trust and respect. In your career, it positions you as someone reliable and wise. In your personal journey, it allows you to stay focused and avoid emotional detours. You become harder to manipulate, less likely to be baited into arguments, and far more capable of handling stress with dignity. Remember, calmness in chaos isn't luck. It's a habit. It's something you practice every day. In small moments, when someone cuts you off in traffic, when a comment rubs you the wrong way, when you're tempted to react sharply, but instead you choose to breathe and move on. These moments shape your emotional core. They harden your resolve while softening your spirit. Emotional control is not the absence of emotion. It's emotional maturity. It's being fully human, fully feeling, and yet fully in charge. When you master this, you stop being a victim of your own reactions. You start becoming someone who is not only powerful, but peaceful. And that kind of power, the quiet kind that doesn't need to shout to be felt, is the most lasting and most respected of all. There is a unique kind of strength that comes from mastering silence. Not the kind of silence that comes from fear or passivity, but the intentional silence of someone who knows exactly who they are and no longer needs to explain it. We live in a world that constantly pressures us to respond, to react, to defend, to justify every move we make. But there is profound power in choosing not to. When you learn that silence is not weakness but strategy, your whole approach to life shifts. Silence is a form of self-restraint. It's the ability to sit with your emotions, to feel anger, frustration, disappointment, or even betrayal, and still choose peace. It's the refusal to let someone else's chaos become your own. It's resisting the temptation to react in the heat of the moment, to clap back at disrespect, or to explain your worth to people who have already decided not to see it. Silence says, I know who I am. I know what I bring. I don't need your approval to validate my identity. When you operate from silence, people may misread you. They may assume you're weak, disinterested, or indifferent. Let them. What they don't understand is that silence is a boundary. It protects your energy, it guards your focus, and it shields you from unnecessary emotional entanglements. People can't argue with silence. They can't manipulate what they can't engage. And more often than not, your silence will disturb them more than any words could. The world is noisy. Everyone is trying to be heard. But the person who can sit calmly, who doesn't flinch at insults, who doesn't engage in gossip, who doesn't waste time in meaningless debates, that person becomes magnetic. Their energy feels different. It's controlled. It's focused. It's rare. And in that rarity lies influence. Because while others are making noise, you're making moves. While others are caught up in emotional drama, you're building something they'll eventually notice. Silence is not about absence. It's about presence. a quiet presence that commands the room without demanding it. A kind of inner authority that doesn't need to raise its voice to be respected. Think of the strongest people you know. They don't explode. They don't chase arguments. They don't always have to be right. Their power lies in their ability to observe, to process, and to move with precision, not panic. Sometimes silence is the best answer. Not because you have nothing to say, but because what you could say wouldn't be understood or appreciated. Silence becomes a filter. It lets the noise pass by while you remain centered. You begin to realize that most battles aren't worth fighting. Most arguments are distractions. Most people who provoke you are simply trying to pull you down to their level. And when you don't respond, they lose, not to you. This doesn't mean you never speak up. It means you choose when and how. You choose your words like a skilled craftsman, not a reckless fighter. You learn that timing matters, that energy matters, that not every reaction is worth your peace. And when you begin to live this way, something incredible happens. You stop being controlled by what's around you. You begin to govern from within. The person who learns the art of silence becomes untouchable. They listen more, observe more, and speak with purpose. They aren't rattled by opinions, they're guided by truth. They don't explain themselves to everyone because they know that real understanding comes not from talking, but from living in alignment. Silence is how you train your soul to stay steady when everything around you is shaking. And the more you master it, the more you realize that the loudest one in the room isn't always the strongest. Sometimes, the one who says nothing is the one who sees everything and controls the outcome from a place of calm, clarity.